Jagdterriers, the Germans, with all due respect to the Germans, they're really, really good at perfecting things. You know, they make outstanding cars, outstanding weapon systems, and they breed outstanding dogs. So they're perfectionists. Um, when they decided to breed a small, versatile hunting terrier in Germany back in the early 1900s, their goal was to breed a small, versatile dog that they could use for pretty well everything, but it had to be German. So the first thing they did is they went over to England and got some fox terriers and various other breeds of terriers, and then refined the breeding. This is a very condensed version of what happened.
Right.
But they refined the breeding down to a number of individuals, which featured the black and tan colour, but with a very, very high drive, and it possessed all of the relevant qualities that the Germans were looking for. And over several decades, they came up with the Jagdterrier, or JAGD, the Jag Terrier is referred to in Australia, and that was their versatile hunting terrier. They set up a testing system where these dogs were tested, and only the dogs that qualified in all of the tests, or the relevant tests, were allowed to be bred from. And they culled very heavily, so anything that didn't make the grade was culled. Mm-hmm. So the breed was basically made up of a number of English type terriers and some Irish bred terriers as well. And then they condensed it down to what we see today, and they breed true to type here, and in Europe, and obviously in the US as well. But they do have their little idiosyncrasies as well. You've got various different body shapes, coats, things like that. But they need to comply with the standard. And those that comply with the standard are used to breed with. Those that don't obviously aren't. So you can look at 10 different Jagdterriers from different breeders or different parts of the world, and they all look like different dogs, but they all comply with the standard. They've got to comply with the standard.
And could you talk about that standard?
Well, I suppose I could, but you need to understand that my interest in these dogs isn't so much for the showing of the dogs or their appearance per se. It's pretty well wholly and solely for performance, and that these dogs, even though they all comply with the standard and fit in with the criteria that is set down by the standard, and yet the standard's easy to find. It's the American Kennel Council has it, the FCI has it, obviously, and it basically goes through each, as with any other breed. There's standard colourings, there's standard heights, shapes, features that they're looking for. Much of that, as we all know, is open to interpretation. But one thing that's not open to interpretation is the dog's ability to do what it's bred to do. And I've been, I suppose, struck off a lot of Christmas card lists here in Australia for being critical of dogs that can't do what they're supposed to be able to do. And I don't make any excuses for that. If you've got a terrier, it's got to think and act like a terrier. If it doesn't do that, well, it's not really a terrier, is it?
No.
It may have the outside appearance of being one, but it's got to be able to cut the mustard in the field, and that's pretty well what it's all about. The good thing about Jagdterriers is they've got all of that, plus they've got an exceptionally good nose. They're really, really good in water as well, and they're a pretty good all-round dog. They're a good dog to keep in the house, and have it as a pet as well. But first and foremost are a hunting dog.
Right.
And there's a lot of politics tied up around terriers, etc. You know, with what's happening in Europe, and I suppose in the US now with all this animal rights stuff going on. Many of the dogs can't be tested to the standards that are set down under the German Breed Club, where the dogs need to be exposed to wild game and what they call sharp game.
Mm-hmm.
That can't happen in most countries. The Eastern Europeans seem to be, what's a diplomatic line of saying, is less concerned about the proprieties, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
They still test these dogs for the things that they're supposed to be able to do. So if the dog doesn't tick all the boxes, they've got no time for them. Hence, only the best dogs are used for breeding. So you've got dogs that come from places like Serbia, from the Ukraine, and various other Eastern Bloc countries that are from the real McCoy. These are the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not third and fourth generations of dogs that have never really been tested, and that's usually reflected in how they behave in the field as well. Well, look, it's not so much the look. The dogs have to be. They've got to be physically as good as they can possibly be. So you don't want a dog that's going to fall apart after being in the field for a couple of hours.
Right.
You need a dog that can hack it out there in the field, and to do that, it needs to be set up properly. Its feet need to be good. Its general conformation needs to be good. They need to be well muscled, not over muscled. They need to be fit, flexible, strong, and athletic. They need to have all the standard good features: nice straight bone, good muscle tone, good teeth, good eyes. All of those things that we look for when we breed dogs for performance. And